people like me. You need people like me so you can point your fingers and say, that's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy.
Welcome to the mother relay. We're covering today's top boxing news.
Okay, we'll start with this. A Twitter user that goes by the name McGee tagged me to a recent upload, a recent video.
He wanted my reaction, my thoughts.
Video upload comes to us by way of Knockout Boxing 86. This is one of those guys who swore up and down Errol Spence Jr. was gonna run through Terrence Crawford. Remember him? I don't normally waste my time with this kind of riffraff, but McGee wanted my reaction to his recent video, America versus Saudi Arabia, Al Haymon versus Turki Alalshikh. The crux of the video is that not supporting Al Haymon is un-American.
Al Haymon, good.
Turkey, bad. When frankly, I think the time to support Al Haymon and his PBC and those PBC shows has come and gone. They're down to just 5 cards this entire year. There isn't much left to support in terms of a schedule or a stable. A subscriber who goes by the name Shuttersworth said, "Facts, agree, and subbed. It wouldn't look as bad if those Saudi cards were packed with lively events and DAZN had more than 300,000 subs in the US.
Who told you they only have 300,000 subscribers in the US?
The atmosphere is dead, and those awesome matchups go under the radar and barely trend on social media."
How many of Al Haymon's cards this year were trending on social media?
Yeah, we're getting the fights we want, but at the cost of making the sport even more niche in the process.
You've got it backwards, buddy. If anybody helped to make boxing even more of a niche sport, it was Al Haymon, by causing so many networks, terrestrial and premium cable, to walk away from boxing and take their money with them.
Another user that goes by the name Android Number said, "Speaking nothing but facts. These hardcore boxing fans have no idea. Keep not supporting the PBC, and the stars we have now in boxing will be the last stars in boxing history."
Doom and gloom.
There are still stars in the sport of boxing, it's just that they're not American, and that's what this guy really has a problem with. That unless America is the center of attention, something's gotta be wrong.
It's always the same.
The same cockamamie arguments from the same people. King D said, "Respect. You're only covering boxing that's worldwide and not America."
What?
America. AMARICA.
Jokes write themselves.
And not a monopoly machine in Saudi. Love that stance. These people fall for everything because they don't stand for nothing.
And what do you stand for?
I would like to know how many of Al Haymon's events this year did this would-be freedom fighter actually purchase?
Actually buy.
I can almost guarantee you that all the boxing that King D takes in, he takes in by streaming it illegally.
He steals it.
So that he can jump on the internet, stand on his soapbox, and preach about the evils of a monopoly.
Shut up.
Let's make a long story short. None of these people know the ball from the bounce. None of them know what the hell they're talking about.
Not a one.
These cash injections that the Saudis are making into the sport of boxing compensate for the money the sport's not getting from the networks, the ones that Al Haymon drove away.
Do you think these morons are gonna understand what you're saying?
No, there's no helping them. But if you want to understand what's so wrong with what they're saying,
Why, it's stupid.
when you drive away NBC, when you drive away Fox, when you drive away Showtime, you also drive away the money they would have gave you to do shows, to do boxing shows throughout the calendar year. Now, you don't have that network money, that budget, and you notice that the PBC only did 5 shows. That's down from 18 or 19 last year.
Without that money, you can't do shows.
And what these guys should really be asking themselves is, Why did NBC walk away? Why did Fox? Why did Showtime?
Why?
The why of it is obvious, but these guys don't deal in facts. They want to manufacture their own.
Hell, one of them tried to make it a civil rights issue.
What?
Yvette Campbell said, "Salute KO86. Them clowns hate to see black people on top. They are descendants of the ones that snitched on Nat Turner."
What?
You cannot combat stupidity with logic, as it is illogical to waste good logic on illogical people.
Are you supposed to fix this when you can't even address what the problem is? Your pea-sized brain can't process it.
Al Haymon's PBC has had relationships with at least 2 major terrestrial networks, very big ones, and 1 premium cable network, and all of those relationships went sour for the same reason.
For the money that the PBC was being given, those networks were not getting much back in return. No network, terrestrial or cable, is going to sack programming that brings eyes to their platform.
Give it the axe.
So when the PBC gets the boot on NBC, Fox, and Showtime, it's because they're failing to bring eyes to those networks.
It's not complicated.
And it all predates Turki Alalshikh's entry into the sport of boxing because he doesn't come into it until late last year.
All of this was going on long before he got here.
NBC and Fox were already long gone and Showtime was on its way out. Thus, making this a Turkey versus Haymon kind of deal, a Saudi versus PBC or Saudi versus America situation, that's grossly inaccurate.
PBC's problems predate Turkey's entry into boxing.
It's almost like you're trying to make it Turkey's fault that Al Haymon's PBC is an abject failure.
But I'll tell you what.
If all these guys and gals care about are Al Haymon shows or PBC shows, if all this KO Boxing 86 guy cares about are those shows, you ain't gonna be in boxing much longer.
Especially if Javante makes good on his word and retires next year, you won't have him to make videos about.
Al Haymon's stable has been thinning out the last 2 years, in case you haven't noticed, and he's doing less and less shows year by year. So if that's your only focus and your only interest in boxing, I don't think you're going to be in boxing much longer.
I've already seen a good number of channels, decent-sized channels, stop making boxing content after Wilder got his ass handed to him.
You might have to start making videos about another sport.
Shade room shit, gossip shit.
Not boxing. It's already started. It's that much harder for these content creators to turn over a profit when they constantly draw from the same pool of subjects and the same pool of fighters in a stable that is fast thinning out.
Gonna run out of shit to talk about.
These are not boxing fans in the boxing sense of the word. What these are tribalists who use boxing as a vehicle for their xenophobia and their bigotry. The content creators make money from it,
While the audience has someone telling them all the things they want to hear, no matter how inaccurate they are.
boxing would be better off without these hapless buffoons and this type of toxicity.
Go away.
In men's bantamweight news, it was announced that Junto Nakatani will be taking on David Cuellar February 24.
Crawford.
WBC bantamweight champion Junto Nakatani will fight undefeated David Cuellar on February 24th at the Ariake Arena in Tokyo, according to a top-rank announcement. The bout will be telecast on ESPN Plus in the United States. The event will also feature WBA bantamweight champion Seiya Tsutsumi making the first defense of his title against Daigo Higa and undefeated bantamweight contender Tenshin Nitsukawa
It's not Sukawa.
facing former champion Jason Maloney in a 10-round fight.
I like that one. Tenshin Nitsukawa versus Jason Maloney. That's a good scrap.
Junto Nakatani, 28 of Japan, fought 3 times this year, winning each by knockout. He stopped Alejandro Santiago to win the WBC title, then stopped Vincent Astrolabia in 1 round.
Punched him right in the vulva.
Cuellar, who hails from Mexico, is 28-0 with 18 KOs. This will be his first title fight. Cuellar fought twice this year, winning both bouts by UD. His most notable win came in October, stopping Luis Concepcion in 8 rounds. Tsutsumi, 29, and Higa, also 29, will be fighting in a rematch. Their first meeting ended in a draw in 2020. Tsutsumi is now 12-0 with 2 draws and 8 knockouts and enters on a 7-fight win streak. He defeated Takuma Inoue by UD in October to capture the WBA title. Dago Higa holds a record of 21-3 with 19 KOs and is coming off a loss to WBO champion Yoshiki Takai in September. Both fighters are from Tokyo. Nasukawa, 26, will be facing the first former champion of his career. The Tokyo resident holds a record of 5-0 with 2 KOs. He turned pro in April of last year and has been active to start his career. Maloney Baloney enters with a record of 27-3, 19 KOs. He lost a split decision to then champion Emmanuel Rodriguez in 2018, was knocked out by then title holder Naoya Inoue in 2020, but he picked up the vacant WBO title in May of last year with a majority decision win over Vincent Astrolabia, the same Astrolabia that Junto knocked out. Maloney lost the title in his second defense, dethroned by Yoshiki Takai in May.
My thoughts.
So in terms of the aesthetic of each one of these matches, they're all going to be fun fights to watch. As a card, it's non-stop action from start to finish. But I can't help but wonder, when are they going to put Junto in a unification match?
We already know that the Inoue fight is off the table for all of next year. That's not gonna happen.
And that'd be fine if they were going to put Junto in some unification matches at his own weight. He's one of 4 champions at that weight.
Seiya Tsutsumi, WBA champion, is boxing on that same show against Dago Higa, who already got a title shot. He already got a shot at Yoshiki Takai's belt. Why is he getting another one?
It's not even that it's a bad fight. It's not a bad fight, but the blueprint is already laid out. If you want to crown the next star, build the next one, you gotta let these guys fight.
That's how he knew he did it.
Are the powers that be in Japan telling themselves they'll make more money by keeping these guys away from each other so that they can make money off of each one of these reigning champions? Is that what's going on? Because if we know that Junto Nakatani versus Inoue is not going to happen next year, he's not going to move up, then why isn't he unifying?
Stands to reason.
To further build the fight between them, between Junto and Naoya, it would be best for Junto to follow in Naoya's footsteps, to do at Bantamweight what he did at Bantamweight, so that when they meet, it's undisputed champion versus undisputed champion. And Junto doesn't have all the time in the world because he's on the bigger, much bigger end of the spectrum as far as Bantamweights go. He's big.
For 118.
If he's fighting David Cuellar in February, how much longer will it take to get him out after that, to put him in a unification match?
And how much longer would it take for him to unify this division, collect all the belts, and complete the set?
So maybe it's because Junto would be the overwhelming favorite over all the other champions at the weight that were not getting these unification matches. Junto would be a dangerous fight for Seiya Satsumi, for Ryosuke Nishida, or Yoshiki Takai. You could favor Junto to beat every single one of them, and maybe that's why those fights aren't happening.
Maybe. I'm just bouncing ideas around. But all things considered, I do think it's time to start asking questions.
Junto won the WBC title in February of this year, so he hasn't been a champion all that long. But neither of these guys.
In order to make an omelet, you have to crack a couple of eggs. In order to crown the next star in the Bantamweight division, sacrifices need to be made. You need to feed these guys to Junto!
He makes it past David Cuellar. I can only hope that his next fight after that is a unification match. It needs to be. And finally, in men's heavyweight news, Boxrec recently updated their pound-for-pound rank standings based on this past weekend's action, and to everyone's surprise, Oleksandr Usyk came in behind everybody at 13. They've got Inoue at number 1, Canelo at number 2, Gervonta Davis at number 3, Terrence Crawford behind him at number 4, Artur Beterbiev at number 5, Junto Nakatani at number 6, Dimitri Bivol at number 7, David Benavidez at number 8, Shakur Stevenson at number 9, and Jaron Ennis at number 10. Jaron Ennis is a top 10 pound-for-pound fighter, but Usyk isn't, according to Boxrec.
Usyk's handler, Aegis Klimas, reacted by saying, "The biggest bullshit I've ever seen."
In fairness, Boxrec's pound-for-pound list was never all that good. It was never all that accurate to begin with. I don't swear by it. I don't know if you do. Its flaws have become more glaring, more noticeable over time.
It's more of a point system than a pound-for-pound list.
It's supposed to go by some kind of an algorithm, though whatever it goes by, if the end result is Usyk not even being ranked in the top 10, something is clearly wrong.
Something is off.
So Usyk ranks in at number 1 on the Ring IQ pound-for-pound list. And the main problem that some people have with my list is that it uses accomplishments, the fighter's accomplishments, as the prevailing metric for how good they are, with the logic being, if you really are the most skilled fighter in the sport, or one among them, your accomplishments will be a reflection of that.
Common sense.
Because how could you, or anybody else, claim you're the best pound-for-pound fighter in the sport, and you haven't accomplished anything? More Western sentiments.
Woke mentality and DEI pound-for-pound fighters, pound-for-pound entrants.
Like Gervonta Davis at number 3? What the hell has he done? He's never been a lineal champion at any weight he's campaigned, never held the Ring Magazine title, never unified a title.
Never did shit.
What's the message? That you don't actually need to accomplish anything in the sport of boxing to be ranked as a pound-for-pound fighter? Is that how it works?
What did Gervonta Davis accomplish that Terrence Crawford didn't? Because apparently, he's number 3 and Terrence is number 4.
He's number 3 and Artur Beterbiev is number 5.
David Benavidez is number 8 on the pound-for-pound list, but Usyk is 13. What the hell did David do in boxing that Usyk didn't?
It's all bullshit. A pound-for-pound list is intended to measure a fighter's skills, irrespective of their weight and where they campaign. And skill, in and of itself, is not a gray area. It's not something that's nebulous or ethereal. It can be measured, and it's measured by what you accomplish.
Who you fight, who you beat.
That's what matters. Just not to Boxrec. That here you have a fighter, an Oleksandr Usyk, who for the last 4 or 5 years has been taking on naturally bigger fighters than he is, who outweigh him.
The last one by 55 pounds.
And his skills are what allow him to prevail. Not his size, not his power, his skills.
And you rank him at 13. So it doesn't matter that he was undisputed at cruiser. Doesn't matter that he was undisputed at heavy.
No, David Benavidez and Jaron Ennis have proven more than Usyk. That's why they rank in at number 8 and number 10. So you can point me in the direction of the fight where they were outweighed by their opponent by a whopping 55 pounds. When does that happen?
Never.
Boxrec's quote-unquote pound-for-pound list is not a pound-for-pound list at all. It's just a points system, a flawed one.
ESPN's is just the popularity contest.
The point and purpose of a pound-for-pound list is to measure a fighter's skills, irrespective of their weight. And if you're not doing that, it's not a pound-for-pound list.
What about the eye test?
The eye test is just a way for people that don't know what they're talking about and don't know what they're looking at to qualify their own opinions.
The eye test has always been bullshit.
Because how many people, based on their little eye tests, picked Fury to win both fights? How many?
Eye test ain't shit.
Without the accomplishments to match, the eye test ain't nothing. The eye test ain't nothing but a glorified opinion.
I don't give a shit about your opinion.
You give a shit about mine. That's why you're watching this video. Usyk is number 1 on my list. And frankly, if you rank this fighter any lower than number 3, if he's not top 3 on your list ain't shit, and you ain't shit.
Shut up.
Shut your goddamn mouth. Nobody wants to hear what you have to say. Nobody cares what you think. They only care what I think.
Only what I say matters, not you.
You don't count.
You don't matter.